Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and the sky is blue, grass is green, water is wet, and a dirty dev threatens a defamation lawsuit. These are all things that we know to be true and are common knowledge that are not unique in most experiences. I will, as always, link any publicly available information down in the description below, but for this video, there won't be much. Most of this is direct communication, and as such, isn't publicly accessible, and as much as I might find the idea humorous, I can't turn over access to my Twitter account and or my email accounts for the general public. Also, as a reminder, do not harass the developers or send them hate mail directly or anything like that. However, I would ask that you share this video across the internet so people can be aware of the actions that Abrakam's chief operating officer has taken in recent days. Now here's a quick recap. On Sunday the 21st, I released the video titled Dirty Devs Roguebook and the Potential Kickstarter Scam, in which I outlined the actions of one Jean-Michel Vilain, the chief operating officer of Abrakam, the developers of the collectible card game Faeria, and who have recently concluded a Kickstarter campaign for the game Roguebook. In that, I outlined the information provided to me from a developer that was doing some work for them under contract. That developer had not, and also I would like to point out still has not, been paid for his efforts. The work was successfully completed and was in use by Abrakam, which was a donation site for additional funding for the game after the Kickstarter had concluded, which was where the late backing button on the Kickstarter page would take you. Due to non-payment, that paypal.roguebook.net webpage was taken offline by the developer until Abrakam paid him what he was owed. Within a Slack conversation between the developer and Jean-Michel Vilain, Vilain let slip, quote, "In the case where the company goes bankrupt, the law enforces that the remaining funds go in priority for the full-time employees. When a full-time employee's contract gets stopped, there is a notice period, which may be a few weeks or a few months of salary." Now, what this led me to believe was that not only had Vilain refused to pay the developer, you know what, I don't want to have to say the developer each time, and it might end up getting confusing, so for this video, we're going to call the developer who has been wronged here Dave, and no, that's not his actual name. So not only had Vilain refused to pay Dave for services rendered, he stated that the company was going through bankruptcy and the money raised by the Kickstarter, as those were the funds being discussed, would be used to pay the employees due to the bankruptcy, which one could reasonably infer would mean those funds would be used for back pay as opposed to being funds directly gathered for the purpose of creating the game being crowdfunded. Now, I'm the first to admit, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm intelligent, but I make no claim to genius or anything of that nature. I know there are people in this world that are smarter than me. There's always a bigger fish and all that, so I think it would be extremely safe for me to say that a genuinely intelligent person at Abrakam would have been able to, if I were mistaken, pull apart and demolish my argument in grand fashion. In addition to that, an ethical and moral game developer would take this as an opportunity to make an egotistical YouTuber eat a little crow while clearing up any misconceptions and easing people's concerns by being open to discussion and coming armed with concise information. What did Jean-Michel Vilain do? Well, he asked me to take my video down, and if I didn't, he would try and force YouTube to take it down based on, you guessed it, defamation and invasion of privacy. Let's read through that email, shall we? Hi Sid, I've just finished watching your YouTube video about Roguebook and our Kickstarter campaign. I'm sorry that I have to ask you for that, but could you please take this video down? You have posted this content without notifying or asking us. I would have been happy to discuss with you and expose our version of this case. It's important for you to know that the development of Roguebook is not compromised at the moment and that there will be announcements made at Gamescom. Now it's too late, and the content you've posted is defamatory and violates my company's privacy. We're going to request YouTube a takedown if you don't do something immediately. I hope that you understand that we have to take action on our side. The data you're exposing is confidential, and you're drawing a lot of conclusions on our company's future and intent. This is causing damage to our business illegally, which we will look further into. This is particularly disheartening for us since we've always been extremely loyal to our community and we're making games to deliver high quality, not for money. Okay, so right off the bat, I neither need nor require Abrakam's permission to post a video discussing them or their actions. I have no contract signed with Abrakam, and I'm not beholden to any such agreement. Secondly, all conclusions that I drew were based upon information that was obtained through single-party consent, which, bear in mind, United States federal and Belgian laws surrounding such actions only requires single-party consent. And as in each instance, a person involved with the conversation did the quote-unquote recording, no law has been violated. So, because that is the case, no invasion of privacy occurred. Secondly, when considering defamation, there's one small aspect in which Jean-Michel Vilain might not be aware of. As both Dave and myself are within the United States and Vilain is in Belgium, one must take into account where the alleged defamation occurred, which, as has been stated on my channel numerous times, all roads lead to the good old US of A in this regard, and thusly US federal defamation laws apply, and also the defamation laws of California, where YouTube is based out of, and the state that I live in specifically, which is not California. Then one must also determine whether the developers are a private figure, a public figure, or an involuntary public figure. Now, being a game development company does not automatically make them a public figure. However, as this was news-orientated and is newsworthy information, especially when it involves the crowdfunding of a game and over 2,700 backers, I could make a pretty solid case in this instance that Abrakam and Jean-Michel Vilain could be a limited involuntary public figure. And as that is the case, in order for this to be defamation, one would need to prove malice, which would mean that they, meaning Abrakam, would need to prove that I operated, quote, with knowledge that it was false or with reckless disregard of whether it was false or not. And given that Vilain himself stated that this payment issue was due to the bankruptcy, I was very clearly operating under a basis of Vilain's own statements, and I can also state qualitatively that I had no reason to believe that information was false. Now, in that email, Vilain stated, I would have been happy to discuss with you and expose our version of this case. And as that was the case, I responded to Vilain with the following. All information that is presented as factual within the video is merely information that can be viewed on the screen. My interpretation of that information is an opinion and as such does not fall under the realm of defamation. Also, I have a good faith belief that the statements that you yourself made can be taken as factual. If you would wish to provide additional information that would refute the statements that you made, I would be able to post a follow-up video. And as of my emailing him back a response, I have not personally received any additional communication from Vilain. However, Dave certainly has, and now we have Vilain attempting to weaponize the money that he owes Dave in an effort to guilt me into taking my video down. In an email sent to Dave with the subject line, YouTube content harming us, which I will read through in its entirety just so we can make certain we're not infringing on Vilain's rights, and so we can be fully transparent and make certain I'm not cherry-picking phrases to take out of context, Vilain had the following to say. Dear Dave, I was very surprised to find this YouTube video. This movie contains 1. Confidential information that was shared between us and released without my permission, screenshots of Slack messages, and 2. Incorrect information, Roguebook is a scam, etc., with the only purpose to harm us financially. The information told in the video is untrue. Roguebook is not a scam, Roguebook is in development, and there will be more announcements at Gamescom next month. I also don't see why you hide your name in the movie while we are openly attacked. This is a commercial dispute and has nothing to do with scams and a hoax in YouTube. All further claims resulting from the incorrect information contained in this movie will be claimed back from you, and we are looking into further legal measures and are now blocking officially your payment due to this. I would suggest to avoid any more costs for you that you ask that the video is taken down with all copies immediately from your side and for the right reasons. Please send us copies of the mails/communications you sent to this YouTube channel regarding the takedown. To which I've been informed by Dave that he has no intention of complying with that last bit. Now, to correct some misperceptions on Vilain's part here. 1, there is a difference between confidential and private, and you would do well to learn the difference. 2, the quote, information that Roguebook is a scam is my opinion based upon the information provided. That in and of itself does not equate that to being information, but that could be a translation error as well, I'm not sure. 3, the purpose is not to harm Abrakam financially. The intention is, as it always has been, to inform the consumer about what they might be or have gotten themselves into. Don't presume to know my intentions. 4, Dave did not hide his information in the screenshots. I redacted them to protect his identity from the public, something he was grateful for, actually. He provided me with unredacted information, which is something I require from anyone submitting me information so I can verify authenticity. It is my job to respect his privacy in this regard. And 5, so you're blocking his payment again, meaning he wasn't getting paid for his work before, but now he's really not getting paid. Got it. And lastly, I'm not going to take down my video, period. But let's move on because Vilain didn't stop there. Now, I did get updated that shortly after that, a community manager reached out to Dave that was very conciliatory in nature, stating that they had received confirmation from Kickstarter on the amount they would receive and that they would be releasing payment to Dave. And that was where things stood once Vilain had left the office. However, it would seem that Vilain wasn't done, and this is where the whole payment being held hostage comes into play, which, again, I will read in its entirety, just so we can be 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt guaranteed that I'm not taking Vilain's words out of context in any way. Dear Dave, today I have received the official confirmation from Kickstarter with the exact amount that they will be sending us. Given that and how our other revenues from Versus Evil have been going, I'm glad that we now have the capacity to pay you for your work. As you can see in our Slack conversation, I have never said that I had the intention of not paying you, or that you would not get paid. I have been transparent with our difficulties and made a point concerning the laws in our territory which enforce me to be extra careful regarding my full-time employees' salaries. It takes a little more than 2 weeks to receive payment from Kickstarter, and the amount of backers with insufficient funds on their credit cards is unpredictable. I have preferred to avoid risks and be careful regarding my responsibilities of company owner. Now, since 1, you have infringed Clause 2.2 in your contract by exposing confidential information, and 2, this information is now public on YouTube with solid evidence and used in a way that causes demonstrable damage to our company, we have to resort to legal means in order to get repaired. If you're able to convince Sid to take down his YouTube video very quickly, we will consider that the damage is repaired and we will proceed to the payment of your due. If you're not able to get that fixed, we will do as indicated in my previous email. We will look into further legal measures and will block your payment due to contract infringement. I sincerely hope that you understand that there was no bad intention from us towards you and that we're simply doing our best to run our company, hoping to release titles that we can be proud of. This email is confidential as indicated in its title. So there you have it. Vilain is refusing to pay for services rendered, which he was already refusing to pay until and unless I take my video down. This is deplorable behavior. This person performed the work satisfactorily, then was ignored for a month afterwards trying to get paid when Vilain came back with, sorry, we don't have the money, we have to pay our full-time employees first because we're going through bankruptcy. And if a company is going through bankruptcy, guess what that would do to Dave's contract anyways, I wonder. Oh, and just because you say an email is confidential, it doesn't make the email confidential, especially since you yourself basically stated the contract is not being upheld. So to sum up, per Jean-Michel Vilain's own words, Abrakam is undergoing or will undergo a bankruptcy, and they are needing the Kickstarter funds to retain solvency, which does not at all bode well for the development of Roguebook. Abrakam defaulted on payment, then Vilain attempted to use the money that Dave is owed like a sword of Damocles unless I succumbed and removed a video from my channel that brought these issues to light. Vilain also engaged in a threat directed at me for legal action merely for showcasing the information provided and offering my opinion based upon that information. Vilain himself has not only solidified Abrakam's induction into the Dirty Devs Hall of Shame, he has etched it into steel. If he wants my video down, he's more than welcome to try. And as I always do with any dirty dev that cries defamation and threatens legal action, here's my email address just in case you forgot it. Email me again and I'll send you the phone, email, and mailing address of my attorney, and you can serve me with all proper court documentation through him. And as he notes to any other game developers or development companies out there, it is abhorrent of any studio to commission work and then either refuse or otherwise be unable to pay. Contractors like Dave work very hard and they don't deserve to be treated like second-class citizens, and they definitely don't deserve to have their payment held over their heads in ransom in order to get a YouTuber to behave. Welcome to the Dirty Devs, Vilain. Your actions here this week have certainly earned you a place. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.